what happens is a lot of times locally or whatever, we're not in LA, we're not in New York. So people say, well, I don't have much money, so I'm going to make a little movie. And you know what, let's don't take it that serious. One of the best compliments I had on Blood Ties, which is, apropos to this film, is that here's a small film that took itself very seriously and pulled it off. Well, here again, my competition is Tony Scott and Antoine Fuqua and, the big guys. I'm not competing. Nobody cares about my budget. It's either a great movie or an okay movie or it sucks. And, as somebody who works hard and has that some ability to push, my goal is to make a great movie. Right. And, at least within my limits, I push. So I've been on this movie, I'm coming up on 19 months. Mm-hmm. And I'm known for visuals and I'm known for certain things. And when people see the whole product, I think they'll realize that, I'll be known for every piece, right. Hopefully.
Out of that 19 months that you've been in production, how long would you say that you were filming compared to how long you've actually been doing editing and so forth?
Editing and post-production, of course, takes the longest, but even our filming stretched out off and on over a year. Okay. And a lot of that just becomes from economics. In Blood Ties, you'll actually see a lot of the same people. And a huge part of this film was written specifically to be a payback to a lot of those actors who came out, did kick-ass one-day parts for me or two-day parts. And I'm like, you know what, I'm going to write a part that they're in the entire film this time. That was good and bad. It was nice for them, ended up being a nightmare for me, in the respects that, you lose a location or a car breaks down or, you have an actor and you're paying very little, something, but very little. And he gets a bigger job, and he's like, you know what, I got to go cut my hair, and I got to shave, and okay, so you're not good for this week, next week, or the next week because we already filmed you, and now I got to let your hair grow. And then a month goes by, and then, you know what, I got this other job, and it's like, okay, now 3 months have gone by. And, and to have 54 speaking parts, you're really taking on a huge challenge by not having enough money to just make it happen. So, you're counting on friends and favors. I mean, you're paying people, but you're not paying them where it becomes a priority. Right. And they came out to do it because it was such a great part in every respect. Everybody has such great parts and great stuff. But even them, trust me, not even the other stars of the movie have no idea what we've actually pulled off here and how good it's going to be. Right. And so I'm excited. I mean, they've seen parts, and people would watch Blood Ties and go, oh my God, I want to be a part of that too. But this is really pushing the limits. So.
Well, from what I've seen, the very small part that you shared with me today, I'm totally psyched about seeing this. I mean, just for you to say that it's a no budget film, it looks like there was a major budget behind it. So kudos to you on that one. Let me ask you this. What's going to make your film stand out from other independent films? Like you were stating earlier, you get a lot of people doing these little small films and really not putting a lot into it. What's going to make you stand out?
Well, we're going to market this as a romantic comedy. So when people go to see that, they'll be like, wow, that was the strangest movie I ever saw. No.
That was a joke.
I mean, hopefully what makes it stand out is there's a real depth to the story. I had a review written by a guy named Peter Dimon with a company called Media Source, and he wrote it. And he calls me like every other week for the last 3 months. It's like, man, I just watched it again with some friends, and we realized this, and oh my God, I just saw this, and and he had already written the review and has already seen it like 10 times, and he's like, every time I watch it, there's more and more, and hopefully, again, I think what happens as a no-budget filmmaker. Too many times we just accept that we have no money, so let's don't try to do anything great. Mm-hmm. And what I try to push people, and myself, of course, is, just keep pushing. So I wrote a very complex story that people in LA, some of the production companies who knew me from Blood Ties and AM Session, were like, give us a few months and we'll raise $7 or $8 million, and let's do it right. And I was like, at this stage, I still want to have that pretty much absolute control, so that if I screw up, it's my screw ups. I don't have to look back and go, wow, it didn't work because you stepped in and did this. If it doesn't work, it's my fault. But we've pushed, and it's just grown. I mean, as an example, I had staged a car wreck, which you haven't seen, but I staged a car wreck, and I knew how to pull it off for no money at all. And I have a friend of mine I used to teach who's on the police force, and so he's like, well, I can probably get you a police car. And I'm like, well, that's great. And then it just keeps growing. So we ended up with, I think, 14 police cars. Wow. We closed off streets, did police chases, we had helicopter shots, we had ambulances, fire trucks. The city of Rome jumped out for me, and for no reason really, except they were impressed. Wow, you're a nice guy, whatever, I don't know. But they gave me police uniforms, they gave me badges, they gave me gun belts, they gave me shoes and socks and police cars, and opened up for me early and gave me access to anything I wanted. And it's just kept growing. We wanted a small scene in a hospital, and we don't show it off a lot, but we ended up with a full wing of a hospital. So it's grown and grown and grown. And as people see how far and how hard I push, they're usually willing to, at least try to push a bit too. And, as a filmmaker, a lot of times I tend to slack off on everybody. I'm like, you're coming out for a favor. And then at the end of the day, I'm like, you've got to push hard. And as an example, something that will probably get us a little attention right now is, I'm known for visuals. I'm known for having to being able to shoot and make it look amazing. And now we're working on the sound. I've been working on it for like 4 or 5 months, just sound. And as an example, because of contacts, because of friendships, because of professional relationships and respect between other people who are starting to see what I do, we're actually doing a full studio mix at a major studio over in England. I leave Thursday. And it's called Twickenham Studios. It's where Hellboy and Elizabeth and Tim Burton and Kenneth Branagh and Linklater and John Madden, and it's where these people do their films. And it's their same sound engineers. It's the director of the facility. They've been around since the 1918 or something. They did A Tale of Two Cities, and they're stepping in, and they had to approve the movie. Obviously, they're putting their names on it. These guys are nominated for Oscars, and they've won BAFTAs, which is the British Oscar, and they were impressed enough that they're going to give me a couple of weeks of stepping in, and it's, again, they're not shoving me off on interns. Craig Irving is co-manager, director. Tim Cavanaugh did Blackheart. Not Blackheart, that's my film. He did Inkheart recently. They did 1408. They did Elizabeth. They did Van Helsing. And they're stepping in and going to spend 2 weeks with me helping to take this to another level. And I think things like that are representative of the fact that as a filmmaker, whether I have money or not, somebody can make a movie like Paranormal right now, or Blair Witch, or one of these films where somebody is clever enough to say, wow, I can have 3 guys in a room and do this in a weekend, or I'm just not that smart. What I do know how to do is a Hollywood movie, and the fact that I don't have any money doesn't really matter to me. I know how to get around it by creating, So there's a lot, I think that what's going to make it stand out is the depth of the story, some amazing performances by 54 people. There's no bad acting in the movie. And even me, I'm not the worst. And I think it's the attention to detail and taking the audience seriously and not pandering to the audience and saying, well, you guys are so stupid, I'll make a stupid movie so that you can understand it. It's like, no, you're intelligent, you've seen a million movies, but I have something to tell you. And I hope that when people watch it, they just enjoy the hell out of it. And kind of like Alabama said in True Romance, I hope people walk out and say, hey, you want to go get a piece of pie so we can talk about the movie? And I hope they go out and they talk about, wow, what was that? What did he do there? Well, I can't believe he did that.